Excited about this. I haven't done a movie review in quite a while. Get on here, get my Hawaiian shirt on here, talk about a new movie. Kind of nervous. I haven't done this in a while. Here comes my wife. I don't know if she actually knows that I do these.
Oh, nervous?
Yes.
First time?
No, I've been nervous lots of times. Thank you very much for joining me today at Hawkeye's House of Horrors. And I'm going to do one a little different here. Uh, do something a little different, as in it's not horror and it's not science fiction, but it's going to lead towards a sequel that I will also do as well. And that is Airplane. So it straight up, it is a comedy. But it has been a while since I've done a movie review online. Um, and I apologize for that, but getting back into it now. Um, there's been things going on in life. Just to let you know, my stepfather passed away just before Christmas. He'd had a long bout, and he's um, not dealing with that now. He passed away, so um, that's been going on in my life lately. Um, and as well, last night I met someone. Dave is his name, and he actually asked me. At first I think he said something along the lines of I've never met a YouTube star before. Uh-huh. Yeah, right. Okay. But he was asking me what my next movie review was going to be because he has been watching my movie reviews on YouTube here. And I told him Airplane. And his face lit right up and he started laughing. And that's generally what happens when you talk to people who have seen this film. I don't think I've ever talked to anybody who says, nah, I didn't really like that movie. Um, they generally have a high appreciation for this film. So this one, Dave, this one is for you. This movie review here. So that is Airplane. It was written and directed by Jerry Zucker, Jim Abrahams, and David Zucker, brother of Jerry. Um, they went on to do other big time comedies as well, like Naked Gun, and its two sequels, Top Secret and Hot Shots, and its sequel, just to name a few other films that they had done as well. But this was sort of their big break, if you will. They had already done the Kentucky Fried Movie. I've got it here somewhere. It's actually really, really funny. Um, it was directed by John Landis. I think it was 1976, 77. So this was a few years after that. This one is distributed by Paramount Pictures. It was released on June the 27th, 1980 in Toronto and Buffalo. And then it got a wide release a week later, July the 2nd, 1980. And it did very well. It was made on a budget of $3.5 million, dollars, or in today's dollars, that'd be 13.4 million today. It made $83.5 million dollars at the box office, or 319.9 million dollars to date. So it did exceptionally well at the box office. It went on to be such a draw. It was the fourth ranking film of 1980 at the time. It was behind only in third place, Stir Crazy, great film with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. Very funny with those two guys. They end up going to prison together. Must see. I think it's directed by Sidney Poitier as well, if I'm not mistaken. Number two was 9 to 5 with Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, and Dolly Parton, who sings the title track. That was a big song as well. And the number one film of 1980 was The Empire Strikes Back. I've done a review for that one as well if you wanted to check that out. I love that film. It's one of the greatest, that one there. Anyways, back to Airplane. So what this is, Airplane is, and the Zucker, Abrahams and Zucker, they were, I'm going to say they might have been the best at this, doing a parody of something. Um, all of their films were that. This is a parody of disaster films, but one in particular from 1957. I've never seen it. I don't know if I want to, but it was called Zero Hour. I've never seen it, but the reason why I say I don't really want to is because if I did watch it, I would probably start laughing uncontrollably, and that's not what those filmmakers were looking to do. Um, but it's also there's other films that they're parodying here as well, such as Jaws, Saturday Night Fever, the airport films. And after this film was done, they didn't make any more of them, probably because they were afraid of getting laughed out of the box office because of how good Airplane was, I think. Um, as well as From Here to Eternity, that was another film they parody in this one as well. Now, I would go down to say that Airplane is one of the funniest films of all time. Um, and why is that? I think that is because almost every single one of the jokes works very well, which is a rarity. Um, like personally, you got a good comedy if like half of them hit. We're talking almost like every single one of them is a good joke we got going in this film. So that's really good. So I'll get into the story, or what there is of a story. What it is there is a young girl in need of a heart transplant. So Captain Over, played wonderfully by Peter Graves, is needing to land the plane so that this girl can get a transplant. So in steps Ted Stryker, played by Robert Hayes. Um, his character, he used to fly planes in the war, but now is dealing with the horrors of war, and the pain that he faced in war. And he's unable to fly. He's unable to actually get on a plane. Um, and he has a drinking problem. Um, well, he proceeds to dump the drink on the side of his face. That's his drinking problem. Um, Anyways, he boards this plane, and he's chasing down his old squeeze, Elaine Dickinson, played by Julie Haggerty, who is a flight attendant on the plane. Now, when people start eating the food, the meal, um, it's the fish. Don't eat the fish. They start getting sick, including the entire flight crew, which also has Kareem Abdul-Jabbar from the Los Angeles Lakers at the time. So steps Ted. He needs to fly this plane and land this plane to save all the passengers aboard the airplane. So there you have it. That is the story, and it is full of tons of laughs. Now, one thing I would say as well, I've mentioned a few of the actors, but this has an incredible cast, with the likes of Lloyd Bridges, who went on to do Hot Shots as well. Peter Graves, as I already mentioned, Leslie Nielsen, who went on to do Naked Gun, um, and Robert Stack. I'll always remember him from Unsolved Mysteries. Um, he was perfect in that. And he was way back in the day, he did The Untouchables as Elliot Ness as well. All like straight arrow, like dramatic actors who are playing very funny roles. And but they, other than maybe Bridges, they are playing it straight, very straight, and it works wonderfully. And they're playing it so well. Like I would even hazard to say these guys maybe should have got Oscar nominations. Like every single one of them. Like it was their performances are great. And at the time, I'm not sure if those type of actors would have been put into those roles. So there you have it. Now, this film was originally written back in 1975. Um, and in the film, they actually had commercials in it that were based upon commercials at the time. Those were later removed, and I must say that that's probably good because, yeah, when you watch this film, yeah, you can tell this is 1980. But by putting the commercials in there based on current commercials at that time, which are now 45 years old, it would really time your film even further by doing that. So it's a good thing they got that out of there, even though I'm sure the commercials would have been hilarious as well. Now the three of these guys, they insisted on directing this film themselves, in order to get what they wanted on screen. As I said, they had done Kentucky Fried Movie with John Landis, um, but at this point they were ready to step behind the camera themselves and direct this film. They worked out a deal with Paramount, who did come up with some changes. Um, for example, they wanted this to be filmed in color. Um, Zaz or Zucker, Abrahams and Zucker, they wanted to shoot it in black and white, but Paramount said, no, you're going to shoot it in color. And maybe it is better that it is in color as well, I think. Um, but yeah, there were some different actors that were thought to be these particular characters. For example, the role of Dr. Shirley Rumack. Um, Originally, they wanted Dom DeLuise, who I think would have been tremendous in the role. Other actors as well was Christopher Lee, Vincent Price, and Jack Webb, who was on Dragnet back in the day. I couldn't imagine, like I'm a big horror fan, but if you could have got Christopher Lee or Vincent Price in this role, they totally would have knocked it out of the park, as Leslie Nielsen does. But it would have been hilarious to see those actors in that role. But they all turned it down, unfortunately. And Leslie Nielsen was the next guy up, I think, and he wanted a chance at comedy. And boy, oh boy, did he ever follow suit with that because, from definitely, I would say, like Naked Gun onward, like it seemed like that's all he was in was comedies. So he definitely got his chance to be in those type of films. Um, and yeah, Lee later said, but that turning this film down was a huge mistake. And instead, he decided to be in Steven Spielberg's 1941 instead of this film. I have seen that film. I wasn't a big fan of it, but man, it's been way too long for me to really come on either side of the coin on that one. I need to see it again. It's got quite a spectacular cast in that film as well. But um, there you have it. Another role I know Christopher Lee turned down that, oh man, he would have been amazing in as well, was Halloween as Dr. Sam Loomis. Later went to Donald Pleasance, who was spectacular in that role, but that was originally going to be Christopher Lee, and he turned that role down too. So there you have it. Um, and then the role of Ted Stryker, I see that supposedly Chevy Chase and Bill Murray were considered, but I'm kind of glad they went with Robert Hayes, though, like to follow into the like definitely Chevy Chase and Bill Murray are known for comedy. They're comedians. Definitely at this time, as well as pretty much Chevy Chase's entire career, he's in comedy. So I'm glad they went with Robert Hayes, who was great in the role, and went with him instead. Pete Rose supposedly was originally considered for the role of Roger Murdoch. That went to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as well. There's also a singing nun played by Maureen McGovern. And the joke with that, and it is a joke, is that he had actually sung two Oscar winning songs to disaster films, including The Poseidon Adventure, great film, and The Towering Inferno, which I haven't seen. I need to see that one with Paul Newman and Steve McQueen. Um, but so that was the joke. She's the singing nun in this film. Now, the music to this film I really enjoyed. I think it's really good. It's done by Charles Bernstein. Um, for example, he had already done music to National Lampoon's Animal House and Heavy Metal, another film I have reviewed as well. Really enjoyed that film. And he would later go on to do Ghostbusters as well. The Zaz, they wanted him to make B movie corny music, and he does a great job. It blends so well with what you see on the screen, and generally that's what great film scores do is they mesh wonderfully with what you are seeing on the screen. And Bernstein does a great job in that department. Now, I haven't really talked about any of the jokes yet. There are so many, and I'm not going to sit here and just start rhyming off every joke that I liked in the film, but I'm going to talk about my favorite scenes in the film. Um, and definitely, if you haven't seen this film, go out and see it. Don't let me talk to you about it or ruin any of the jokes, even though I might have ruined one so far. But yeah, there you go. So my favorite scenes include when the crew, like when they're beginning to take off with the flight crew, where it's like over. What's your vector, Victor? What's your clearance, Clarence? And they're like, huh? What? Who? I don't know. I just thought it was hilarious play on names going on there. I love the scene where they're in the seedy bar and the two, I think the girl guides are playing poker and the one beats the other and then, uh-oh, mayhem ensues. One pulls a knife, I think. They get into this fight to the death, these two girl guides in this seedy bar. Hilarious. Um, and then, which leads to a disco dance off in the seedy bar. Um, when I watch that, I actually come to tears and laughter when I watch that. It is so ridiculously hilarious and a parody that is almost unrivaled. It is hilarious when you see that. And of course, there is the autopilot. But remember, you may need to apply air into the small nozzle around the belt line. Whoa. Very funny. So there you have it. Those are just a few. Man, it's just more scenes are coming to my mind that I love in this. Like the one line of you're gonna something like you're gonna have to need to land the plane. Surely you can't be serious. Yes, I'm serious. Don't call me Shirley. Uh, Hilarious. I love it. Now I must say, there is one scene in this film, where it comes to question, if it is racist, or if there's racism within the joke, because you have two black men in the airplane, and they speak jive to each other. That's their dialect. That's how they talk. And Julie Haggerty's there trying to understand what the problem is, and one of them is sick and he ate fish, and she's trying to talk to him and just can't understand what they're saying. In steps a woman and she says, I speak jive, and it's this old white woman, and she proceeds to speak to these two black men in jive about what the problem is and everything like that. Well, what the joke is the lady that does this is Barbara Billingsley. She was the mother off of Leave It to Beaver. You can't get any more white than that, I think. So that's the joke. And I don't think it's a racist joke. I think that's what the joke is right there. And excuse me. Um, so yeah, that's my opinion on that. Um, so there you go. And the filming of Airplane took place from June the 20th, 1979 to August the 31st, 1979. So there you have it. That is Airplane. Love this film. It is a comedy. That's where it's going to be. And as I said, it is one of the funniest films of all time. And if you enjoy this, you need to go and see Kentucky Fried Movie, the Naked Gun films. There was Police Squad. That's what those films were based on. Was a TV show. There may have only been like 8 episodes or something. It failed miserably as a TV show. But when you watch it, it's like this is really funny. It's Naked Gun, but it was like maybe 4 or 5 years prior to when the film came out, and definitely Top Secret and Hot Shots. You need to see them all, and they're all funny and great films. So there you go. There you go. So I'm gonna do then Airplane 2, the sequel, at some point and bring that to you and carry on from there. And at some point, maybe I'll do those ones next. I'm gonna get in back in. I've seen them all, but I'm gonna get in and do the final two Howling films. And then I think I'm gonna do a ranking of all of the Howling films and where I rank them and kind of my order of how good they are, really. So, anyways, until next time, enjoy your movie watching.